Mandi and Weezy decide to end Whoreible Decisions. Whoreible Decisions is ending and will be recording its last episode next week. Now, this is a big deal, and it was officially confirmed on the Whoreible Decisions Instagram, and here's what was said. We have some bittersweet news to share with all of you. We have decided to end this chapter of Whoreible Decisions. We want to take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude for joining us on this incredible journey. Your support has meant the world to us. Next week will be the final episode. We truly can't wait to share it with you and give thanks to and share our memories of the past 8 years with Whoreible. Thank you for being a part of our story, Mandi and Weezy, WTF. Now, this is interesting. And it is a big deal because now both of these ladies find themselves at an interesting crossroads for their careers. But we have to look at what was said. We have some bittersweet news to share with all of you. We have decided to end this chapter of Whoreible Decisions. Now, are they saying that they could not get it together? We have to remember that Mandi and Weezy have had a really contentious relationship. One where the two have expressed they don't really like each other. They don't really get along like that. That they really stood together for the money.
Weezy and I are not friends, but we have a business that supersedes us.
I like how I suggested that you aren't best friends. You said we're not even friends.
We
That's
are,
crazy to me. Like all
don't
the dudes
do that.
I podcast with, I don't know if I could really do it if we weren't also like in the group chat all day.
And guess what she said? Get a guest.
Yeah.
Get a guest. We talk to the guest. I mean, in terms of what she's been able to create outside of me is amazing. I've clearly done a lot of things outside of her. And I think that, again, in terms of what our friendship was, we were friends as teenagers.
Right.
We stopped being friends for 5 years. 3 weeks after rekindling a friendship because we were like, oh, we're adults, we're in different spaces, we started this pod. By episode 6, we were already at each other's throats.
And anytime someone stays together for the money, when the money dries up, it's almost certain that things will go left. And in podcasting, the money has started to dry up unless you have a loyal, faithful Patreon following or if you just love the game. We also have to look at Mandi. Mandi, for me, is representing something interesting. I don't know what she's going to do because she no longer has, see, the thing is, Whoreible Decisions to me was her saving grace. She just sold or gave up her studio in Brooklyn, Full Court Studios, and now it's being ran by Save On. So there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of interesting things going on. But what do you think? Do you believe Whoreible Decisions ended amicably or was there tension? I am always going to lean towards there was tension, and it's largely backed by the fact by these two ladies saying they don't like each other. They not really cool. And Mandi, I think she just wants to work by herself. I think Weezy wants to work by herself. Remember that therapy episode where the two went at each other?
So. Why are you looking at me like that?
No, she's not looking at you. She's looking at the climb.
Whatever. It's so hard to look at you. Bro. You talk about fighting me like it's so hard to just do.
Stop.
She's
Okay, stop.
Play
No.
the victim.
I'm not playing victim. She's talking to me. All you do is me retweet all these people that agree with you. It's so easy.
Okay.
You talking about Nicki Minaj. You are Nicki Minaj, bro. You dug this hole. You cried on Instagram. You talked about you want to fight me. I can't believe you're doing this. Every time you get mad, you talk about doing another show. That's the only reason I said get your own. You always do this to me.
Wait.
That was one of those episodes where it really looked like it was over. I'm probably going to do a breakdown of that episode. And if you remember the dynamic of their friendship, they were apparently childhood friends that stopped talking to each other for a long period of time. And then they got back together, started doing a podcast. It was working, it was rocking. But then they started to not see eye to eye with how the business was being run, with the hurt feelings, with the way they would talk about things on air. Apparently, Mandi felt like Weezy wasn't doing a lot of the back end stuff. Seems eerily similar to what happened with See the Thing Is. Could that be the case again? I don't know, though, because Weezy is really successful in running WTF Media, and WTF Media is a big studio now. It has several locations all over the U.S. Well, really multiple, like West Coast, East Coast. I'm telling you, I can't wait. What do you think the industry is going to say? Obviously, Joe is probably going to say something about this. He loves when podcast breaks up, largely because it helps reframe his podcast breakup with Rory and Mal, and it makes it look less bad. What will Rory and Mal say? Because they're really close to Mandi and Weezy. Well, specifically Weezy. And, there's going to be a lot of people doing the science, so I just want everybody to stay tapped in with this channel, because we are going to be covering every little piece of information that comes out about this breakup. This was significant. These guys are OGs of this podcast game. So for them to end at this time is shocking. It's really crazy. If anybody has info, please leave it in the comments. Let me know if you're on their Patreon Discord. We got to do the science. We got to break down what's happening. We're going to go deep dive on the old Patreon episodes, and we're going to see if there were any visible signs of tension. But one thing I will do is I will look at the Whoreible Decisions YouTube channel, and I remember looking at it the other day and thinking, hey, man, these views aren't that good. You got 3,000 views for the Rotimi interview. Then you got 34,000 views 7 days ago. Then you got 3,000 views for Ashley Gavin and Akeem Woods, and then 23,000. It's just very paltry. Like, I know this is really good if you just have your own YouTube channel by yourself, but then when you have two people you're splitting up the cost with, it's not a lot. Like, if I had to split the stop, I couldn't do it, which is why Stop the King ended. I couldn't do it. I was like, man, I'm doing the editing. I'm doing the back end work. Why I gotta? It's just too much. This is not profitable for me to be splitting any money. And I would assume that's the conclusion these two ladies came to. I could do a podcast by myself. I ain't gotta split nothing. But be careful what you wish for, because if you look at Mandi's period sis and some of the content she's been making on her YouTube channel, it hasn't really been hitting. And then if you look at Bridget Kelly's podcast, who we can use as an indicator for how these two ladies might fare, it's even worse. Everything is fine? No, everything is going horribly wrong. And I don't know, this is a tough time for creators. I think we're going to look back in a couple years and we're going to be like, man, what happened to what happened to Bridget Kelly? What happened to Mandi? Remember when they had that podcast? What's going on? You might even see people join and click up just to survive, because there's not a lot of money in this thing anymore. At least that's what's being demonstrated by all these breakups. All of these people are going in separate directions, and the dynamics of podcasting have vastly changed. Now, these two ladies have an interesting dynamic because they have studios and they profit off of people wanting to podcast, right? Weezy's charging people $500 per hour to podcast. Well, $500 per 2-hour booking, I believe. And Mandi's charging like $330. But there's a lot of people who don't even do that. So maybe both these ladies are now taking their energy and putting it into a place where it's more profitable. But let me know what you think. Why did this end? Was there visible tensions towards the end, the last few episodes? I mean, they said, we decided to end it. We decided to end it. They saw something that made them think there was a reason. And for the largest time, this podcast was held together by the finances of the situation. All right, y'all. Follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. Another podcast breakup is in the books. Oh, man. Only the strong survive. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.